What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's blogging theboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that the Christmas season is going wonderfully in your life. It is very busy for me and my household. I've lost track of what day it is. Normally this time of year, the Cowboys help to kind of center my perspective of time, but we are coming off of the time where the Cowboys are in that weird wonky period where they go Sunday to Thanksgiving. This year they did do the Thursday after, obviously, and so it will be nice to go from Sunday to Sunday, but of course right after that we'll get reshuffled a bit with the Cowboys playing on Christmas Day, which is a Thursday this year. Whatever's happening, however it's happening with the Cowboys, I'll be talking about it here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel each and every single day. You can like this video. You should, please. I ask you kindly like this video. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Getting a lot of new subs lately. It's wonderful to be growing and expanding our family here on the channel. If you want to hang out with me on social, I'm all over the place. I'm on X, Instagram, Threads at RJ Ochoa. TikTok, RJ.Ochoa. Go like my Facebook page. I launched a Facebook page for the first time about myself. Obviously, we have our Blog on the Boys Facebook page. We've been running for a long time, but created my own I don't know, back in like June, July, something like that. So we've been having a lot of fun over there. The links to all these things are down in the description below if you want to check those out. I'm recording this for you, and I always make sure to tell you when I'm recording what, because context can change, details can come out, whatever the case may be. It is about 5:30 p.m. Central Standard Time on Thursday, December the 11th. Today's actually the 14-year anniversary of when Jason Pierre-Paul blocked Dan Bailey's field goal at the very end against the New York Giants a few weeks before the Cowboys would lose that NFC East title game, the first of 3 straight NFC title games the Cowboys would lose. Amazingly, I can't believe how long it's been since we had to live through all that. But I'm telling you that because something could come up, obviously, and I told you in a previous video, I'm going to be doing some traveling over the course of the next week, so things will be a little bit different in terms of what's behind me, my background, a little bit of the schedule, but because of the travel stuff and because we wanted to make sure we had enough things coming out, obviously, to keep up our regular schedule, have to do some things in advance. Something else I did in advance, and we included this in the note, our Madden simulation for next week's game between the Cowboys and the Chargers has already been run. We ran that on Thursday morning, and so obviously the Cowboys and Chargers each have a full game to play before it would make sense to run that, but I'll be in Arizona most of next week. And so that's just kind of, how you got to make the sausage when it comes to situations like that. I had an interview with Michael Pittman Jr. of the Indianapolis Colts. Sometimes we have some, off the beaten path interviews as it relates to the Cowboys on the channel. You can check that out. And next week we are scheduled to speak with Laura Rutledge once again, a recurring guest around here and my fellow Florida Gator. All right. So this is final thoughts as it relates to Sunday's game for the Cowboys. And I think, we're coming off the mini bye for the Cowboys, which has given us a lot of time to think. And the time in which the Cowboys last played to now, depending on when exactly you're seeing this, has been both very long and very short and very depressing and very uplifting all at the same time, right? The Cowboys lose on Thursday Night Football to the Lions. Oh my gosh, everything stinks. Our pets' heads are falling off. There's no way they're going to make the playoffs now. I can't believe I did it again. I can't believe I let Lucy line the ball up for me. Of course, this is what happened. But Monday Night Football comes along. Jalen Hurts throws 1 million interceptions. Oh, my gosh, this is possible. The Cowboys just have to win out and pick up 2 more Eagles losses. They're definitely going to lose on the road in Buffalo. This totally can happen. Football, sports, life can be fun and interesting and chaotic in that way. And so that has happened over the course of the mini bye period for the Cowboys has allowed for it to marinate in a different sort of way. So I think we're excited as Cowboys fans, and we're coming off of a window where we were not so pumped up about the state of things. But I do think that it sets the stage for a final 4 weeks in which the Cowboys are probably going to do a lot of winning relative to these specific 4 weeks, and therefore probably going to give themselves a chance. And to the delight of everybody who has a stake in the business of the Cowboys, being the Cowboys themselves, probably going to be highly entertaining in the process. Merry Christmas, everyone. And obviously that can all come undone with a loss on Sunday against the Vikings, right? Like we can sit here and we can say, I don't know, I think the Raiders could beat the Eagles. I don't know, it's possible. Ashton Genty, blah, blah, blah. I don't think that's possible, to be very clear. I think the Eagles are going to lose at Buffalo, and then we got to cross our fingers that they drop one against Washington. But even if they did, I mean, can you imagine a world? It would be highly depressing, obviously, but can you just imagine that the Eagles would go out and, like they did against the Cardinals 2 years ago, lose to the Raiders? And all Sunday afternoon, we're flying high. We're saying, oh my gosh, it's going to happen. This is really happening. And then the Cowboys just go and drop a dud against the Vikings and ruin everything themselves, right? Like, I think we look at the Eagles situation because it's fun and because they're, floundering and whatnot. And we're saying, oh my gosh, they could totally lose 2 of these 4 games. That will all be for naught if the Cowboys don't win out. And I would offer that these next 2 weeks are the more difficult ones. And I say that with full respect and understanding of the fact that the Cowboys have 2 divisional games on the road to close out their 2025 season. But if the Cowboys can get through the Minnesota and Chargers games, I will feel like they are going to go 4-0 over these final 4 games because, with all due respect to Washington and New York, they are of lower quality. The Chargers are clearly the best team remaining on the Cowboys schedule. Minnesota's had an up and down year in many different respects. Obviously, the J.J. McCarthy of it all. There's a lot of ways you could kind of choose to evaluate the Vikings, but they present a chance for the Cowboys to get in their own way, for the Cowboys to play with their own food, for the Cowboys to, mess around early on in the game and maybe things get away from them and all of a sudden they're chasing and everything falls apart. But if the Cowboys can get through this Minnesota game, I do think that will give us an indication that, man, they might be able to do this, because then it becomes, I don't want to say tunnel vision on the Chargers, but it becomes a matter of just take care of business against the Chargers and then go do what you always do as far as the Dak Prescott era is concerned against Washington and New York. And hopefully the chips around you fall where they may in your particular positive direction. That's much easier said than done. I fully recognize that. I fully understand that. But I don't know. I mean, I'm not. Look, this is not. I believe this is going to happen. Watch out, guys. I'm predicting this. That's not my take here. That's not my point. I do, though, feel like the Cowboys are in a position for us to enjoy these final 4 weeks. Let's presume, right? I understand that we all know, we all understand the math of everything. The Cowboys have to win out. The Eagles have to lose 2 of their final 4 for the Cowboys to win the division. If we forget the Eagles of it all, if we forget the NFC East of it all, if we forget the playoffs of it all, if the Cowboys win out these final 4 games, that will not only mean they won their final 4 games to close the season, that will mean they won 7 of their final 8 games to close the season. That will mean they went 7-1 out of the bye. And we can quibble, or could, hypothetically in the future, quibble about what would then be the past, about them playing some lower quality teams. You could certainly toss the Raiders in that mix, and the Giants and the Commanders. Again, we were talking about, or would be talking about, what would have been their final 8 games to close the season down, and the Eagles collapsing and the Chiefs not being themselves, like all this different stuff. But if this team were to go 7-1 across all of the time after the bye, independent of what happens around them, independent of whether or not that's good enough to make the playoffs, that would be highly impressive. That would be legitimate momentum, whatever you want to call it, to build upon with regards to the 2026 season. We have all reached our wits' ends with regards to trusting this team, but that would be some legitimate equity that they would have earned, not only as a front office, not only as a coaching staff, but as an overall football operation and franchise, to say, we're taking this seriously, we're making do with what we have, we're finding new, creative, innovative ways to get these things done, and there is proof of concept. Look, we went 7-1 to close things down across the second half of the season. Again, this is all hypothetically speaking, but that would be worthy of some serious kudos, and it all obviously begins this Sunday against Minnesota. And I know that we would, at that point in time, look back and say, well, you lost to Arizona, you lost to Chicago, you lost to Carolina. I get that, and I fully understand that, but that would not be cause to throw the baby out with the bathwater, in my opinion. And if their lone loss, again, across the final 8 games of the season was on the road against a Detroit Lions team that we obviously, as a football, world, believe in very, very, very much, I mean, I would salute that. I really would. I mean, and I have a hard time giving this team props because I feel like they make life hard for themselves and for their players and coaches very, very, very often. But in that particular world, the coaching staff, the players would have earned a level of trust and belief that it would be impossible not to trust the overall operation. So I'm very excited about hopefully taking a step, the first of what at this point is 4 remaining steps for the Cowboys. And obviously, I hope that everything around them happens in a manner that lends to them winning the division and reaching the playoffs as well. Okay, shout out to Bear and Honey. They were very good doggies while I was in here. Shout out to Michael Pittman Jr., who joined me. Again, you can check that out here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Laura Rutledge stopping by next week. Our Madden simulation Cowboys Vikings dropped earlier in your feed, a little bit after I'm recording this. But again, this was recorded on Thursday evening, time jumping all over the place here. But you can go watch Cowboys Vikings. Cowboys Chargers already recorded. No spoilers here, but that will drop next week along with our normal run of shows and videos that you get from me. And you'll see the clips, like I said, all over social if you want to hang out with me there. But for now, my friends, I bid you adieu. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. This is the last weekend before football gets really, really, really intense, like on a macro scale, because next week in the playoff starts, we get some Saturday NFL games. So go do your holiday shopping, whatever you want to do, and buckle up and get ready, because the ride is going to be a very interesting one. Thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out. And with all that said, we will see you next time.